Knicks fans, what's popping? The Knicks were competitive in the first half, but what we expected to happen, happened. So let's talk about it. What's up, folks? Peace out. What's happening with you? We knew what was going to happen, and it happened. I'm not sure we could be pretty much upset. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool. It's cool. I mean, the Knicks looked good in the first half, right? They looked like they were moving the ball. The ball was moving. A lot had to do with Mudiay and his penetration to the basket, those type of things. You know, Mudiay looked good in that first quarter. But, of course, good teams can sustain that type of play. Bad teams cannot sustain that type of play. You know, and that's what's going to happen. You know, and the Knicks obviously are a bad team. The Warriors are a great team. And the Warriors just know how to turn it on when it counts, when they need to. They came out in the third quarter, blitzed the Knicks. Good defense. I mean, just like that, it was a 10-point lead. You know, just like that. But, hey, that's what we expected. And I'm not mad. I am mad at that first unit, and I want to talk about the first unit a little bit. I am mad at that first unit, you know what I mean? Because I just don't like the way they look. You know, we're going with the youth movement. I love the way the second unit looks. The second unit moves the ball well, I think. They play hard. They play tough. They play with aggression. And the second unit is, I mean, the first unit is slow. But we'll talk about it. You know, we'll get to it. You know, but yeah, you know, they frustrate me. They really do frustrate me. But let's recap the game right quick. You know, talk about what we saw tonight. And then we're going to get into the whole gamut of youth movement, the first unit, KP's extension. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about should high schoolers go to the G League right out of high school? That's a good question. You know, there's a lot to be said for that. And some good points. Some good points to be made for high schoolers to go to the G League, but we'll get to it. But first, let's talk about this. Let's recap the game. Got the wrong one up. Hold up. We're gonna recap this game. All right, here we go. So the Knicks. What we do? We had 39 rebounds to 43. I don't know what we do. I mean, we played a decent game, I guess. You know, played an okay game for what it's worth. We probably could have, you know, I don't know how much better we could have played. You know, we shot 49% from the field. 40% from three-point line. We only shot 9 free throws tonight. Now that would suggest that we weren't really aggressive going to the basket. You know, only shot 9 free throws, or it could suggest that the Warriors' defense was just that good. You know, that they could play great defense without fouling and those type of things. So that's the game. I'm gonna bring that screen back up for some reason. Something's not acting right for me. Siobhan, thank you, Siobhan Robinson, for the super chat. Appreciate it. You say Mudiay is like a fake chain. It looks good for a while, then it turns your neck green. Well, you know, I mean, young players inconsistent. It's gonna happen. Mudiay played well in that. I mean, he was great in that first quarter. 14 points in the first quarter? You know what I'm saying? He was really great in that first quarter. Did everything that you would want him to do. He went to the basket, had a few assists. He was aggressively, looking to penetrate, score. He really looked good. Really looked good. But of course, it's one of the reasons that he's not an elite player, at least right now in his career, because elite players are consistent. They can do it all the time, whenever they want to. Elite players can just make it happen. But most of all, they're consistent. Players that are not elite are not consistent. And that's what you have with most of our players on the floor. They're not consistent. And that's part of that's part of us collecting young players and growing with those young players. When you collect young players, they're not going to be consistent. Although you want them to be consistent, of course, but they're not going to be consistent. You've got to continue to work with them. You got to continue to help them develop their game, and hopefully the consistency comes later on. And that's what you hope for, that it'll come later on. I have no doubt that eventually Mudiay, our guys will become consistent. Somebody will become consistent at some point. Talking about our point guards, they have no choice but to become consistent if they want to remain in this league, and if they want to be effective in this league. They've got to work at it and become consistent. But I like what I seen from Mudiay. I wish he was able to do it in the second half of the game. But what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? This is who we have on the floor right now. This is who we have on the team right now. And we're going to continue to work with these guys and develop them. And when you're playing against a team like the Golden State Warriors, it's only so long that you're going to be able to remain consistent anyway, to be honest with you. When you're a team like us, it's only so long that's going to be able to happen. So I'm actually kind of satisfied with the game tonight, though. Even though, once we came out and started playing well in that first half, I was hopeful. I'm always hopeful, right? I'm always hopeful that we'll be able to win. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? I'm that kind of a guy. I like to see us perform well and win. But I knew it wasn't going to happen. Nick Gay, thank you for the super chat. You said they did great. We saw more ball movement tonight. We did. We saw more ball movement in that first half, obviously. But the third quarter, when the Warriors, kind of blitzed us, we became very stagnant. We had 3 assists in that third quarter. We became very stagnant. Took a lot of bad shots. The ball movement, it kind of halted. Not kind of halted. It did halt. It just came to a screeching stop. And we were really going one-on-one. Some really bad shots by Tim Hardaway. And Tim Hardaway is really, really getting on my nerves. Really, really, he's really getting on my nerves. I'm just not liking what he's doing or liking the way he's playing. But if you look at the plus minus of the starting 5, -22 for Mudiay, -14 for Courtney Lee, -15 for Cantor, -17 for Beasley, -13 for Tim Hardaway, talking about plus minus. Now, of course, they're playing against starters. We know that, right? So, they're playing against starting lineups of the other team. So their plus minus could be a little bit different because we're not that good of a team. But geez, -22 for Mudiay. Of course, that goes, a lot has to be said. With that, it's because of the lineup that he's with. If he was playing with the second unit, maybe that would be different. Courtney Lee barely played tonight, 11 minutes. I'm not even sure what it was worth to play him, put him on the floor. And as Cantor, 10.7 rebounds. He was a minus 15. You know, and he continuously got switched off on KD, which was ridiculous. But I will say he did the best that he was going to be able to do being switched off on KD. But there's no way that we should have been switching to allow Cantor to get on the KD. You've got to fight and get over that screen. You can't allow Cantor to get isolated on KD. But he did well enough. I'll say that. He did well enough. You know, now look at if you go down and you look at the second unit, their plus minus is much different. Even though Frank and Kylo Quinn are both -5, Trey Burke was a +6, Lance Thomas a 1, +1, a +1, Troy Williams a +6, Isaiah Hicks a +2, Damian Dotson a +6. Now, of course, these guys are playing against the second unit. They're playing against scrubs when you or I don't want to say scrubs, but players that come off deep in the bench when you get into that. When we got into that fourth quarter, when the game was just out of control and out of hand. You know, so of course there's something to be said for that. You have to bring that up. But still, it's very evident that this first unit, and I guess I'm going to move on to the first unit. I'm going to get to it. I just want to point that out now since we're doing this recap. I was kind of messing around with some technical stuff back here, so I didn't really recap the way I wanted to. But you see that first quarter, 39 points in the first quarter, largely due to Mudiay, right? And then second quarter, not bad. It was 25-26. You know, we lost about 1. So we went in the half up 1. That third quarter, we got blitzed, 39-18. And a lot of it is due to me, that first unit, which we're going to talk more in depth about that first unit. And then the fourth quarter, which was just garbage time, 29-23. If we perform better in that third quarter, the game could be different. But this is what the Warriors do. You know, that's why they're the Warriors. All right. Their biggest lead, 24. Our biggest lead was 5. You know. But there we go. You know, we took care of the ball for the most part. 14 turnovers, a couple of blocks, 3 blocks, some steals, 28 assists. Pretty good. A lot of them in that first half. I think 18 in the first half. When we really moved the ball well. And then that third quarter, we only had 3 because we really went ISO. You know, so that's the story of the game. Now let's talk about this first unit. Because this first unit is, I think we need to make changes. And I know, you know, we're playing young guys and those things, but that's the reason why we need to make changes, in my opinion. Because the first unit is slow. They don't move the ball really on offense. In the first quarter, they played well because of Mudiay, right? Mudiay had 14 points in that first quarter and a few assists, and he was attacking, and he was, you know, getting finding some people open, a few people open. But for the most part, that team is slow. You know, they play a very low-paced game. It's basically dribble the ball up, find a way to launch up a wild 3 or get it into the post. You know, and so, you know, we've got to do something, I think, with that first unit. I think we should put Frank and Trey in that first unit. That's my opinion. Nothing against Mudiay, because Mudiay played well. Nothing against them. I just think that they have a nice chemistry going on together, and they pick up the speed. We move the ball a little bit faster. Frank plays good defense on those shooting guards off the ball, although Klay Thompson did have his way with him a couple of times tonight. But I think that maybe would speed up the game a little bit in that first unit. Give that first unit a little bit more energy. There's just no energy to that first unit. That first unit is really they're just plodding. They just plod along. And I think if you did substitute, if you did put Trey and Frank in that first unit, who would you take out? Of course, you take out Mudiay. And then would it be Courtney Lee or would it be Hardaway? And that's a tough question because Courtney Lee, of course, is older. He's an older guy. And we're supposed to be working on developing our young guys. But I don't like the way that Tim Hardaway plays. You know what I mean? I just don't like what he does on the floor. And I don't know. Maybe you keep him in there because Trey Burke knows how to work with him a little bit better, maybe. Now, Piff, I don't hate Tim, right? I don't like his game. Personally, I never met the guy, obviously, but personally, he could be the coolest guy in the world. I don't know. I just don't like his game. I just don't like the way that he plays. I really, really have tried hard to support him, but I don't like his game. But the question still remains, who would you sit down, Lee, or do you sit down Hardaway? Hardaway is 25 years old. He's supposed to be one of our building blocks. You know what I'm saying? Courtney Lee is 32 years old. He's not really supposed to be a building block. So if you're speaking logically, you'd probably sit down Courtney Lee. He'd only played 11 minutes tonight, and you'd play Tim Hardaway. BN, you say you think Tim Hardaway will turn it on when they become competitive. Well, but I think if you have that kind of player, in my opinion, if that's when Tim Hardaway decides he's going to turn it on, then I think you have the wrong player. Like they said in the broadcast, or maybe they said it on NBA TV, whichever one they said it on. You don't decide to play like a championship team when you become a championship team. Or you don't decide to work like a championship team when you become a championship team, right? You don't pick up the work ethic because you're a champion. You become a champion because you have the work ethic. You become a champion because you have the right habits. You become a champion because you have the right character. That's how you become a champion. So if Tim Hardaway is going to wait until they're competitive to turn it on, then I think you have the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the wrong guy then, because you want somebody who's trying to turn it on to become a champion. All the work ethic and those things is what leads to you being a champion. I don't know if it's the case of Tim Hardaway not turning it on, though, being. I think it's that Tim Hardaway, he's just not. I don't think that he is one of your guys. I don't think he's a main cog to a very good team. That's just what it is. I think that he's a third option or a bench player. A 6-man type of guy. I hope that I'm wrong, because the Knicks committed to him. And I hope that he finds, I'm going to give him his chance, because this is the first year he's had this much responsibility on the team. So we've got to give him a chance. And I think it's only fair that you give him a chance. It's the first year that he's had this kind of responsibility. But I'm just saying what I don't like about his game. What I do like about his game, how about I do that? What I do like about his game is that he runs in transition. He has a good NBA body. He's strong. He's fearless. And that's good because you need that. And we've seen it at times this year when he's been able to knock down some big-time three-point shots because he's fearless. I respect that about him. But I still don't like his game. I just don't like his game, the way that he plays. And maybe he develops. He's only 25. He still has time. Maybe he develops. We'll see. But I think that the first unit needs to change. I think it needs to change so that we play faster. And I think putting Frank and Trey in that first unit would really help them to pick up the pace a little bit. Then we have to worry about the second unit because we won't have that burst of scoring that Trey provides coming off the bench. And then the second unit, you'd have Mudiay and Lee possibly, or Hardaway, whoever they decided to put on the bench. Then you'd have those guys. But then, you'd be playing with a different group because you'd be playing with Lance, you'd be playing with Kylo Quinn, Courtney Lee, Mudiay, or maybe Troy Williams. Those guys are going to, I think, when I think about it, that's a good mix. If you have Trey Burke, Frank Ntilikina, Hardaway, Beasley, Cantor in that first unit. Beasley and Cantor still kind of slow it down a little bit, though. But because Trey Burke can penetrate and Frank, can play that scrappy defense, I think it really helps. Trey Burke can find Cantor, can find Beasley, some of those things. And then in that second unit, if you have Mudiay, Hardaway, Troy Williams, Kylo Quinn, and then whoever else, Lance Thomas, you still got some defensive guys in there, and you still got some guys that can score, right? Because you got Hardaway, you got Mudiay, who sometimes can get hot, like he did in that first quarter. And, we've seen Mudiay in Denver do it. 27 points in the quarter. He can get hot, and he did it tonight. I think those are two good lineups that are balanced. And I'd like to see Jeff try it. I'd like to see Jeff try it. But something needs to happen in that first unit. I just don't like the way they play together. I just don't like it. But that second unit, let's talk about that second unit. That second unit is really nice. They look good together. Frank and Trey, Troy Williams, Kylo Quinn, Lance. For all the hating that we've did on Lance, he's been playing well and really has provided some defense for this second unit. I like the way that second unit plays. Now, we've got to take into consideration that the second unit is playing against the other team's second unit, but they really do play well together, and their defense, they're really scrappy. They play up-tempo on offense and defense. They play with high energy, and I like it. Trey Burke, Trey's a microwave. Microwave Vinny Johnson. That's what I think they mentioned that in the broadcast tonight. He could be like a microwave Vinny Johnson. Ben, you said you're good with Lance in the second unit. Yeah. He's providing some leadership and some defense for that second unit group. And I think it's doing really well. It's working really well. Nick Gay with another super chat. I appreciate it. And I didn't see it earlier, but you said the next picks have to be a defensive big and a wing. Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while. I agree with you. A defensive big and a wing. Yep, an athletic defensive big and an athletic wing. 3-man. 3-man. Jersey Shore, you say Williams, speaking of 3-man, a small forward, you say Williams has not hit a open jump shot yet. No, he hasn't. Probably thinking too much. Maybe he'll get it. He'll get it. We've needed his athleticism all year, and we finally got him. He's someone who he's on a 10-day contract. I'm sure he'll get another 10-day contract, and then maybe the Knicks look at giving him a small contract. Trying to maybe lock him down for next year, giving him a small chunk contract for next year, because we need his athleticism, and then work with him over the summer, of course, and see how we can help him develop that jump shot. Piff Gates, you say Trey found a home. He's playing like the lottery player he was supposed to be. He's playing well. He's playing really well. There's still some things that I see that he needs to work on, but that's okay. That's good. You know what I mean? He penetrates too deep sometimes and gets himself in trouble. And it's going to happen because he's small. Like I said on the last show, I don't think that Trey is your leading or starting point guard on a very, very good team. I think he's a guy that comes off the bench to give you instant offense. And I think any good coach would say he is so good at doing it. You don't demand that he become an all-around point guard. You let him do what he does. And that's how you get the best out of him. You know what I'm saying? You let him do what he does. And you get the best out of him. When he was in Utah, they wanted him to change his game, and it hurt his confidence. Then they drafted some other guards or whatever, and it hurt his confidence. And he went to the Wizards, and of course you're behind John Wall, Bradley Beal, and them guys. He wasn't really going to get a shot. I think Trey Burke. I think if you try to force him to change his game, maybe he's the kind of guy that it'll hurt his game if you try to force him to change his game. So maybe you just let Trey Burke be Trey Burke. And if you let Trey Burke be Trey Burke, to me, he's not a starting point guard. He's instant offense off the bench that can come in and give you 20. And that's cool. That's okay. You need that. You need that on every team. A guy like him that can come in, break down the defense, get into the lane, kick it out, pull up that. His mid-range jump shot is wet. It's money. You know what I'm saying? It's money. But I just don't think he's going to be a start point guard in the league. But there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that at all. If he finds his spot as a 6-man type of guy that can give you instant offense, like Lou Williams, that's somebody just mentioned, then that's good. That's great for Trey. That's great for Trey. You know what I mean? And he can come in and help you win some games. He can come in and, because he's going to have some off nights, which everyone does. But he's a good change of pace player. He plays downhill. And he's looking to get his first. Let's be honest. He's looking to get his first. And that's okay. If we're letting him play his game and do what he does, that's his role on the team, then you let him do it. Ace Bezel, you say Trey also plays good D. Yeah, they said that, that's something that he wanted to change that perception that he wasn't a good defender. And he's really been working hard to play good defense. Got to give him that. He's been working hard to play good defense. Sometimes because he's small, sometimes he still gets, knocked out the way a little bit, but it's because he's small. And, because he's 6'1". They say he's 6'1". At least that's what he's listed as 6'1". He's much bigger than when he came into the league. When he came into the league, he was a little bit thinner. He's much bigger, so he's been, taking care of his body, getting bigger and stronger. And if he's going to be able to stop those bigger guards from knocking them around, he's going to have to get a lot bigger and a lot stronger. But the thing is, the Knicks got him locked up for next year. As they have a non-guaranteed contract for Trey Burke for next year, so you'll have him under wraps as long as it becomes guaranteed in August, I believe. It becomes guaranteed in August, and then you got him like 1.5 million veterans minimum or something like that. But let's see how they work with him over the summer. See what kind of training program he has over the summer. And see what the coaching staff wants him to do. See what kind of role they tell him he needs to. Right now, I think they're trying everybody out, so they don't know exactly what role anyone is going to play right now. They're still seeing what guys are going to do. By the time we get to the end of this season, they should have a good idea of who they really want to keep, who's going to move on, and what kind of roles they'll play on this team. I want to give a shout out to Trey Burke. Some people say I'm down on him. I'm not down on any player, maybe except for Tim Hardaway, because I don't like his game. I don't like the way he plays. But I'm not down on Trey Burke. I'm just saying that I don't believe he's a starting point guard of a really good team. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion of him. I don't think he's a starting point guard on a really good team. I think that he's the kind of guy that comes off the bench and lights it up for you. He really reminds me of what Nate Robinson was for a couple of years. Nate Robinson was small, but he could light it up, right? And Alex Martinez, you say Trey Burke, thank you for the super chat, by the way, appreciate it. You say Trey Burke reminds me of J.J. Barrera of the Mavericks from 2011. Good comparison. He's kind of like that, right? Can come in and light it up, do some work for you, and it can fill in as a starter if need be. Nate Robinson was that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Nate Robinson could light it up. And then Nate Robinson has some other things going on with just his immaturity. You know what I mean? Nate Robinson was immature, so he couldn't really stick. It was hard for him to stick in the league. But Nate Robinson was like that go-to guard. If somebody went down, you say, okay, let's go get Nate. Because that Nate, he can come in and score. He can do a lot of things because he was such an athlete. But he wasn't your long-term starting point guard. Trey Burke is a little bit bigger than Nate, taller than Nate. So he may have a better chance of sticking. And I think Trey Burke is a little more motivated to prove that he's worth that 9th pick. You know what I mean? So I think he's a little bit more motivated than Nate Robinson was. So let's see. Let's see. Troy Fleck, you said, do I think Frank is a starter? I think Frank will definitely be a starter in this league, without a doubt. That's my opinion. His defense for his age is way beyond what most players come into the league with. His defensive acumen. He's becoming more aggressive. His offense is starting to pick up. Now that he's playing off the ball a little bit more, I still think he can be a point guard in the league, really. I think he could play, well, let's put it like this. Let me say this. I think Frank will plays great. I think the Knicks, or if I was the general manager, I'd be looking to have a team that is so versatile that you don't have to say this guy is the main point guard. You will have a leader on the floor, a guy that really does instruct and coach the team on the floor, which would be your point person or your leader on the floor. But the game is so versatile. I want guys that can, at any moment, if Frank is on the floor, he could be running the team, or if Trey Burke is on the floor, he could be running a team. So I guess I kind of contradicted myself, right? We're talking about Trey Burke not being a starting point guard on a very good team. But I think, if you're going with a team where you say, this is my point guard, then no, Trey Burke is not going to be a starting point guard. But if you're going with a team where, everybody is versatile, your three wing players are versatile, when anyone can kind of run the team at any moment, I still don't know if he's a starter on a very, very good team. I have to see where he develops, in my opinion. Talk about Trey Burke, as far as some of, his decisions to go to the basket or not go and spread the ball around a little bit more. But he's getting there. We'll see what he does. But I do think Frank will be a starter in the league. Simply because of his defense, if not anything else. Simply because of that. And as soon as he changes his mentality to be a little bit more aggressive, I think he'll definitely be a starter in the league. And I think he'll have a long career in the league. I'm not too much concerned about a player being an all-star or not. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that. I would much rather a player be all NBA, make the all NBA team than be considered an all-star. It doesn't matter to me much about the all-star accolades. But I think Frank will be a starter. Simon, you said Frank will never be a starter for the Knicks. I disagree. He'll be a starter for the Knicks. I'm pretty positive he will. Like I'm sure you guys seen the broadcast tonight. Like Jeff Hornacek said, he's never even had a on a weight training program. Never even been in a weight training program. Now that he's playing with the Knicks and he has professional trainers and he's on a weight training program, when he gets stronger, and you can see, he has so much room to fill out in his body. When he gets stronger, he'll be able to he can get to his spots on the floor now. Sometimes he gets knocked around a little bit. When he gets a little bit stronger, he won't get knocked around. And we're starting to see, now that Frank is really on the floor playing 30 minutes a game, you're starting to see some things that he could do. You're starting to see, instinctually, that behind the back move on the fast break. That was just an instinctive play because he's on the floor playing more. Shamik Scheider, thank you for the super chat, man. You say, hope Frank can grow like Morey, the point guard of the Spurs. And I think he will. We see some of the things that he's starting to do as he's getting more time on the floor. He's starting to do some things that he hadn't shown earlier. Robert Watkins, you say he better keep his butt here this summer. Yeah, I'm concerned about that. I don't like the fact that he's going to France. I want him to stay here and work. Hopefully he goes, he's going to miss home, right? He's 19 years old. He wants to go back home, visit his people, visit his friends, all those type of things. I want him to come back, though, and work. I want him to come back and work. Work on his game. Play with some street guys, get his game up a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. I think during the exit meetings, they may express that a little bit because I'm sure they want him to be here and be around, you know. But the Knicks, we got some things going. We got some things going for us, I think. And maybe, we mentioned it earlier. Some people mentioned it earlier that maybe KP's injury is a blessing. Excuse me, a blessing in disguise. I'm sure KP wouldn't say that. I'm sure the Knicks probably wouldn't say that. But maybe it is. It really did force the Knicks to take a hard look at themselves and say, we're not ready to be a playoff team this year. Where, for a while, as we were all saying, you're not making the playoffs, let's play the young guys. They were still kind of thinking, we're in the earshot. We're in an earshot. Let's go for it. The KP injury really forced the Knicks to look at themselves for what they are and play the young guys. And you can see these guys developing. Picked up Troy Williams. Able to let him play and develop a little bit. And now we look youthful. You know what I'm saying? We look energetic and youthful. We got some bounce in our step. Even though we're not winning, we got some bounce. And, that's something that we needed that. We needed it. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise because we'll be able to really get some of these young guys playing, develop them, let them see and feel their mistakes, and move forward, with a young team. And we got a nice group of young guys going. Alex Martinez, you said Frank has Gary Payton / Celtics Rondo potential. I agree with you. I think he has that kind of potential. And he'll be able to go either way, on the ball or off the ball. Which is a good thing. Better shooter than Rondo, most likely. I think so. He needs to continue to work on his shot, but I think he'll be a better shooter than Rondo. So, speaking of KP, got a question for you. This summer, the Knicks can lock up KP. All right, I was reading this in a Bleacher Report article today. You guys probably read the same article, maybe. All right, but the Knicks can lock up Porzingis through 2024 for $157 million. My question to you, should they? Just like this question is saying here, should they? Should they lock him up? It's a tough question. It's one that could work for us, and it's one that could work against us. The action could work for us or work against us, right? Now, we know everything that Giannis, however you say his name, Porzingis said in the summer, that, KP's worried about, he wants to win. And, he's not so much worried about the money. But looking at the situation now, the way it is now, would they rethink that position? Will Porzingis and his team rethink the position? And the Bleacher Report, they pose a few questions, or they kind of have 5 points. And of course, this just talks about, with the ACL tear, and should the Knicks try to lock him up? Now, of course, there's a few chances, right? So first, let's see what their options are. And I'm just going straight from this Bleacher Report. All right, when they talk about the options, they say there's nothing that states that the Knicks must offer Porzingis the extension. They could instead wait a year, allow Porzingis to play out the 2018-2019 season on his current deal, which is $5.7 million, and then extend him a qualifying offer in the summer of 2019, which would make him a restricted free agent. Right? And if he was a restricted free agent, then of course the Knicks would own the right to match any deal that he would sign, that he signed. Of course, Porzingis could always decline a qualifying offer, which would allow him to become an unrestricted free agent. That wouldn't be wise for the Knicks to decline to give him an offer, right, in the summer of 2019. But of course, the Knicks can try to lock him up this summer. Emmanuel C., you're right. You say it's a bad look on us to other players if we don't offer it. If we don't offer it, it is a bad look. Because then they say they're not trying to take care of their player. Right? Now, then they say, what are the reasons to not offer the extension? There are two benefits. First, obviously, the injury. And that's going to be a question for the Knicks, of course. Right? He's got an ACL tear. The obvious question is, does he come back strong enough from that ACL tear? Okay. And so do the Knicks wait to see if he comes back and performs well and can perform at a high level and continues to, his career continues an incline? Do they wait, or do you offer him? Do you give him an offer right away? Now, if you do hold off, if the Knicks do hold off and wait until the summer of 2019, they could save around $10 million in cap room for the summer of 2019. I don't know if that $10 million is enough to not offer KP. And then what's the downside to not offering KP an extension? The downside, as Emmanuel just said, is you kind of disrespect KP by not offering him an extension. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of disrespectful to him. And the relationship is already kind of, based on everything that happened last year, it's already on shaky water. Shaky ground. And then other teams look and they say, man, they didn't even offer KP an extension, a max extension. Is that a team that I want to go to? And then, of course, the question is, what about the ACL? If you offer him and he accepts the offer, you take a chance because maybe he doesn't respond well to the ACL surgery. So there's a question to be asked, and I see a lot of you guys saying to lock him up. Lock him up, make sure he's a Knick. But I think it's something, the Knicks organization, they're gonna have to, they need to have some talks about it. And make sure that it's a chance that they're good with. And then also, okay, it's back. I don't know what happened. I had a quick disconnection, but they need to make sure there's a chance that they're good with. That KP is going to be, that if KP isn't the guy or his injury doesn't, he doesn't respond the way that they want him to respond, that they put some protections in his contract. Some things that can protect the team, So, we'll have to see how that goes. But it's a good question. It's a great question to ask. And it's one that the Knicks really need to think about for this year. For this summer, actually. And then KP, he's got a lot to think about, too, when you talk about it. Because, we all know what his brother said, that they're not worried about the money. They want to go to a winner. But the injury changes things as far as KP is concerned. And if KP would be willing to accept the offer, you know what I mean? I think if I'm KP, I probably take the offer because you don't know how your body's going to respond. You can't know. There's no way that you can know how your body responds. So this could it really could be a blessing in disguise for the Knicks because they may be able to develop these young guys and then lock up KP. You know what I'm saying? Which would keep KP here for another 6 years. You know, so we're gonna keep tabs on that and see how that goes. But in the meantime, man, we're gonna. I got my man Tony Crow on the line. What's up, brother? How you feeling?
What's going on? Yo, Black, it's time. What up, chat?
For sure, man. So
ain't nothing, man.
What you think about that scenario, man? Talking about extending KP.
I say you go for it. You go for it. I mean, even if it's a little less than max, or there's some type of provision like the Embiid injury, you know what I mean? Provision.
Right.
But definitely got to offer something, and that'll let us know where his head is, you know, how bad he really wants to be in New York, how much of a scare he might have because of his own injury, you know. But you definitely can't not offer it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta have an offer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I mean, what do you say? 156?
It was like 157 million for like
57
for like 5 years, and I think that would start after his. It wouldn't start in 2018-19. It would start the summer of 2019. So you get one more year at his rookie salary, and then starting in 2019, you know, he'd get that higher, you know, that higher salary.
And what's the difference of waiting the year? Is 10 million more for him?
Now, if you wait a year, because this is what happens. If you let him play out this year, and you don't give him give him an offer, in 2019 he actually he'll be a free agent. So if you give him a qualifying offer, that qualifying offer is going to be less than what you sign him for if you extend him. Because if you extend him, you talk about 5 years, $157 million. You know, that's whatever that is per year. You know what I mean? If you wait, then on your books, you know, you have that qualifying offer. You can actually kind of, I mean, you can work it a little bit more, I guess.
It's only one year.
It's like they give you the qualifying. I don't know how long the qualifying offer is for. You know what I'm saying? Usually, if a player is really good, they kind of turn down that qualifying offer.
Yeah, for more money.
They become a restricted free agent, go out on the market, but the Knicks would have the right to match any deal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that scenario could benefit the Knicks for real, because you give him a qualifying offer, he goes out, somebody gives him an offer that is okay, and then the Knicks match.
And then we can match.
You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, if you give him an extension offer this summer, you know you're going to be paying him. You know, it's going to be max. They're going to want the max. It's going to be $157 million. Now, I mean, but the thing is, then if I was KP, I'd feel like I was being disrespected if they didn't give me
a full max. Because I'm like,
no, if they didn't give me an offer, if they didn't give me an extension offer, I would feel disrespected.
There's no way he doesn't not get an offer, because with no offer at all, he's unrestricted. So that would be shooting himself in the foot.
Well, he wouldn't be if they didn't give him an offer, a contract extension offer this year. They don't give him an offer this year. Next year, now, even if they give him an offer, he can always turn that offer down. And then still, if he turns that offer down, then next year they give him a qualifying offer. And if he turns the qualifying offer down, then he's a restricted free agent. Now, you're right, that qualifying offer is for a year. So he could accept that qualifying offer for the year, play out that year, and then be unrestricted the next year in 2020. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't necessarily give him the max, but I wouldn't disrespect him either. So if it's 157, I'll do 145 and see where his head is at. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because you gotta give him something to play his ego, prove that you want him. But then if you're smart, maybe you do something where you're like, we're gonna give him a offer that is not too low, not too high. It's right there at the right spot, so he doesn't feel disrespected, but he's probably gonna turn it down. Because if you the Knicks,
not for nothing, like a year ago, if we was talking about offering him $100 million, everybody would have been like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
So,
so like you, of course, you want to keep KP for the long term, but you want it to be the best deal possible so that you can make more maneuvers going forward. So you got to toe the line. You don't want to disrespect him and his team, but you also want to do the right thing for the Knicks in the future.
And not for nothing, if he's keeping it real, like he said, and it's not about the money, then you know what? Take a little bit less. Let's bring some people in. Follow the Spurs model.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the Heat per se, but the Spurs did it good.
But now, with KP, now he has to be thinking, if they offer me a contract extension, do I take it? Because now, if he doesn't take it, he's betting on himself and his body that his body's going to respond for sure. You know what I'm saying? So that's a tough situation to be in for KP. KP has to be thinking, if my body doesn't respond, then I might not get this amount of money.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way he turns down anything over $100 million, honestly.
Yeah, might be. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I can't see it, and I know, and that's me saying that knowing how confident he is in himself.
Right.
But he's a realist. He's a realist as well. He knew he needed help. He didn't want Melo gone.
Yeah, he didn't want Melo gone.
So with the punches.
Right.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
But,
now I mean, son, you say we got his bird rights. Money is not an issue with KP. We drafted him. Money is an issue, though. You know what I'm saying? We might have his bird rights. We might be able to go over the cap and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But when you go over the cap, then there's certain implications when you go over the cap, certain things you can and can't do. For example, if you're over the cap, you can't do signing trades. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to play your cap situation correctly so you have all options available to you. So, it does mean something when you talk about going over the cap, and being, having his bird rights. Yes, you're right. We would be able to sign him over the cap.
It only means something if he's all about money. If he's not all about money, then bird rights don't mean nothing.
Yeah,
because he'll pay out his contract.
yeah, but I mean, if he's about money too, I can't blame him because, I always feel like players got to get their money because it's only so, like, you see the injury right here. You know what I'm saying? It's only so long that you're gonna be playing at the top of your game and able to maximize it. How much money you make. So.
No, well, what I'm saying is, if he is about the money, then the bird rights is important for us because we always will have the opportunity to offer the most. But if it's not about money, like he said, and then it's about winning, then he'll take less money and go to play his contract and go to another team.
Right. So exactly. Yeah.
It's still
right.
about. What did Burke end up with tonight? And
I think Burke had 15 tonight. I think Burke
didn't get to Skype the last couple games. I only got to listen in because I've been working. But I'm liking my boy Burke, man. I'm telling you.
I think he had 15 points, 5 or 6 assists tonight. Mudiay went off in the first quarter.
Yes, I seen that.
He
finally
went off in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? He ended up with like 22. Ended up with 22 points.
It wasn't even Clyde this time talking about, or it might have been Clyde again, but always taking out the high hand.
Yeah, right.
Constantly.
Right.
I just don't get it, man.
And it kind of cooled him off.
I'm going to ride the high hand until he missed 5 in a row.
Right. Okay. Piff Gates said he had 18 and 5 in the first half. Yeah. Mudiay had like 18 and 5 in the first half. He ended up with 22, and however many assists. And now, son, I see what you said about KP, and you know, I mean, I agree with you. You know, about giving him a full max offer right now. I agree with you. I'm not sure if that's the way to go, but I think with the Knicks got to give him an offer, an extension offer this summer. I think to just show him that they want him. But you got to try to play it smart so that you would hope that maybe he turns it down, so that maybe you have more money in 2019, and then you can you can work on. You're still going to keep him because any deal that he signs, you'll be able to match it.
Well, that's what the smart organizations do, and. Like even crediting the Heat. Actually, I was gonna credit the Spurs, but if you really think about it, whether it was LeBron and Wade and Bosh doing it on their own, or Riley had something to do with it. If Riley had something to do with it, you gotta credit that too. You gotta talk with these players and have them negotiate how bad they really want to win.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it might be worth taking a couple million off the table to sign somebody else and win.
Right.
And I think
oh, you breaking up, man.
Internally, and Ginobili and Parker for years, and the Heat did it, and the Warriors did it. You know. So I mean, that's the formula, really.
Yeah.
Put your ego aside
I feel
and get some help.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Hey, Tony, thanks for the call, man.
No doubt, yo. Yo, Black is time.
Appreciate it, bro.
Shout out to the chat.
For sure. Yeah, so we definitely got some questions. And I see a lot of good ideas in there about KP. You know what I'm saying? Talking about his to pay him, he deserves it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see if he deserves it yet. I don't know if he deserves a max yet. You know what I mean? He hasn't done too much in the league. Of course, he's played on a team that is not good either. You know what I mean? So, I'm not, we'll see what the Knicks decide to do with him. That's gonna be a good. That's gonna be something that they really gotta think about this summer. You know what I'm saying? And now with the ACL tear, that definitely plays a part in it, and how they're thinking and how much they offer them and those type of things. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. Emmanuel, what's going on, man?
It was good.
What you think about this KP situation, bro?
All right, there's several ways you look at it. We can look at it. Well, basically, let me hit on that qualifying offer real quick. Let me explain what it is.
All right.
A qualifying offer is basically it's offered to all teams on a rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
So once you sign a rookie, and after those 2 or 3 years is up of their initial contract, teams are given a qualifying offer that they could offer a rookie. So it's an incentive basically, so they could stay with the organization.
Right.
That's why a lot of rookies and stuff. That's why a lot of people, they don't leave their organization after 7 years, and that was basically implemented so smart market teams can have a fair shot on good players that they draft. Like Kevin Durant when he was in OKC, for an example.
Right.
Also with the KP situation, Um, it's tricky. What you can do, you're gonna have to sit down. You're gonna have to have an honest conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because you don't wanna scare him away and tip him off. So what you want to do is the way I'll do it. I'll put down what is my game plan moving forward. Because either way, he's gonna miss a quarter to half of the season, if at that, next year anyway.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll sit him down. I'll tell him, yo, this is what we got. We can either give you this extension now, or we could go after somebody, sign them, then you'll stay on the books for 1 year under this deal, and then whatever we'll match, or we'll match whatever's offered to you, or we'll give you whatever we could offer you if you let us try to attract another player now.
And right. That's a smart thing to do, because with that, the scary thing is this, though.
That he'll end up leaving anyway.
Because
that's a risk you'll have to take.
Right. That's a risk you got to take, but it's the smart way to go. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say you extend a qualifying, you extend an offer for an extension, he turns it down, or you don't. I mean, you got to give him some kind of offer to give him that respect. And then the next year, 2019, you give him a qualifying offer. He might decide to take that qualifying offer, play for 1 year, because when you do the qualifying offer, I think it's 1 year.
Yeah, it's
and
only
then
1 year.
You play out that year, then you're an unrestricted free agent the year after.
Exactly.
Right? He could decide, okay, I'm gonna take the qualifying offer. I'm gonna play out the next year. I'm gonna bet on myself. Play out the next year. Andre Drummond did it actually not too long ago, right?
This is my thing though. It's a gamble on either. It's a 50-50 split.
Yep.
Because the way you look at it is, are you gonna take that gamble on KP's health? It's what you want to do. Are you confident in that ACL is gonna hold up throughout that contract? Are you not gonna have another Joe Kim Noah situation? Or you're gonna bet that he's gonna be willing to re-sign when you don't give him that offer, and you try to attract another player,
right?
And you let him make that decision himself. That's what I'm saying. You need to talk to him, and you need to have him sit down and give him that option.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, it's you don't know. It's a gamble, because if we have him till 2024, that's gonna set us back.
Right.
It's gonna, what would you rather lose? Having being tied up till 2024 with somebody that is not certain that he's gonna be, healthy. That what if it turns into a Joe Kim Noah situation? You're stuck for another five
years. Yeah.
So that doesn't help us. That doesn't help us moving forward.
Right. And I think the best case scenario is, like you said, the Knicks, they sit down and talk with him. Right. And if to save face or whatever, they have to, give him an offer, and he turns down the offer. And then the next year they give him a qualifying offer. He turns that down. He goes out. You get to see him play, see if he's healthy. He comes back halfway through next season. You see if he's healthy, see how he's going to play. Then he gets to go out on the market, see what he's worth out on the market, and then you match it. I think that's probably the best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because then you get to see what it is on the market. And then, and if his knee holds up, you can say, okay, cool, we're going to match whatever it is. If his knee's not really holding up and there's some problems with his play, then you might, second guess it. But you give yourself the option, right? Because you don't want to be tied down to 2024 with a player that's constantly going to be going back for knee operations, like with Amari.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or the Bulls with Derrick Rose.
Exactly.
Look at what happened with the Bulls and Derrick Rose. Now, Derrick Rose is a little shaky kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? A little fluky kind of guy.
Touchy. But matter of fact, if there's one upside to it that I can see, if he turns his game, he plays a little bit slower. He gets a little bit heavier and he plays a little bit slower. And what I mean by slower is if you look at Nowitzki, the way he plays, he's slow, but he's a shooter.
Right.
So if we could find ways like point guards like Burke that could drive and then kick out and find Porzingis open for a spot up shot, then that could work. If his knee is a problem, if that becomes a problem.
Right. Well, and KP may need to he might need to start playing. He's gonna have this time to get bigger, to get stronger. And he said before he wanted to remain in stretch 4. He might want to look at going to that stretch 5 position.
Nah, he's not gonna go there. He's not gonna go there.
He's probably not, but he might want to look at it where he can play in that post a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? To have a little bit less stress on his knees as far as always running off of screens and doing those type of things. But I guess we got to see how his body reacts to it first. You know what I'm saying? See how his body reacts to it. He'll know once he gets out there. He'll know what his body's doing, and if he'll be able to come back from it full strength. But I think honestly though, from every player that I've seen that's had knee surgery, just about every player, they may come back for the first few years. Down the line, there's problems.
I read an article where they said that in recent years, there's only been like 2 people that came back positive from an ACL, and that was Jamal Crawford and somebody else.
Yeah.
But then they couldn't put Zach LaVine in there yet because that was just recently, and Jabari Parker also.
Right.
So those 2 were just recently, so they couldn't put them in the article. But previous to them, they said it was Jamal Crawford and somebody else that came back positive. Everybody else was kind of a shell of themselves.
Kind of selling themselves, yeah. Emmanuel, I'm gonna get moving. We got a couple other people trying to call in.
No doubt.
Appreciate the call, man. Thank you for the insight as always.
No doubt.
All right. Peace out, bro. Yeah, those ACL injuries are tricky. And, reports, of course, are always saying that there are, players are coming back stronger than before with the ACL injuries. And, the healing is getting better and better. But, of course, we know in the past, it's always been, guys like Amari. He came back, and he came back stronger. You know what I'm saying? He came back stronger after he had his ACL. He had his injury. But years down the line, you see he continuously had to go, year after year and get it cleaned or different things happen. Of course, we see what happened with Derrick Rose. Now, I think Derrick Rose could be kind of an outlier because Derrick Rose put so much pressure on his knees. You know what I'm saying? Like the pressure that he put on his knees from the way that he landed was just incredible because he played with such force. So I think there's a difference there. KP doesn't play with that kind of force. KP plays with a different kind of force. Not the same type of impact on his knees. So there's definitely a difference there. But he has been, the first 2 seasons he's missed 26 games. I guess it's not horrible. Some of it could have been the Knicks just protecting him, CP the artist, you're right. You say you think players who depend on athletic ability put too much pressure on that ACL. I think so. I think you're right. I agree with you. Those guys put a lot of pressure on the ACL. And let's see if I can pull this up. if you ever seen a picture of where the ACL is, and I'm gonna see if I can pull one up for you and show you. Yeah, perfect, right here. So if you look at this picture right here, the ACL is right inside here. It's right inside your knee. And so you've really got to, you've got to bend your knee and put a lot of pressure on this knee to weaken this ACL and to tear it. And there were some doctors' reports that talked about how, KP had, he had the ankle injury. He had, a sore knee right after he was drafted, named an all-star. He missed the next game because of a sore knee, and maybe it compromised his knee. I forgot which article it was, but, maybe it compromised his knee a little bit, compromised his ACL. But it's right in here. You know what I'm saying? And in order to pull that, you've really got to bend your knee up. And then this stuff in here, this constantly, has to get cleaned out in here. But the key is after the surgery, from what I read, of course I'm not an expert, is to get right into rehab. Get right into rehab so that that scar tissue doesn't build around the ACL, which will constrict your flexibility. If that scar tissue starts to build around that ACL, it's going to constrict that flexibility, which is what makes a player not respond as well. So it's important that he's able to get right back out there and start rehabbing to take away any, to lessen the amount of scar tissue that builds around that ACL or grows around that ACL. So, we'll see how this is going to go for KP. Of course, I'm wishing him the best. Because, I think KP is a, he has the tools to be a great player in this league. But, looking at that one more time, this is why athletes that, those freakish type of athletes put so much pressure on this, because they're getting up in the air, or they're using so much speed, and you've got to, the flexibility in your knee, you use it so much when you're an athlete, from the way that you land on the floor, because your knees needs to bend so that you can have that some cushion when you land. So your knee has to bend, right? So you're using that ACL. And athletes that are constantly flying around the court here and there, moving around, they're using that ACL. They're using it a lot because you see it. It's holding that knee together. So you're constantly using that ACL when you're an athlete and you're flying around all over the place. Now for KP, he's not the kind of athlete that some of these other guys are. He's not the kind of athlete that Derrick Rose is, or Amari even. He's not that kind of a player. That's not to say that he's stationary. And he's not an athlete, but he's not that kind of a player. So, we could, with his style of game, he could respond well. He could respond well. Mighty Knicks, you said Rose should have hung on the rim more. I think Rose needed to, hung on the rim more. Came down easier. Maybe I think Rose needed to pick and choose when he was going to be aggressive and some of those type of things, in order to lessen the strain that he was putting on his knees. Rose was such an aggressive player that he put a lot of pressure on his knees. So I think KP has a good chance, because he's not going to put that kind of pressure on his knees. He's not that aggressive of a player, that he puts that kind of pressure on his knees. Hopefully, he's in rehab already, so he can keep that scar tissue down, and he comes back stronger than ever. But for now, the Knicks are headed to the draft again. We're going to draft a young guy that's a probably one and done. So another guy that needs some development, of course. That's cool. That's fine. My question, I want to talk about this article that I read that talks about, it's from The Undefeated. And it talks about high school players skipping college and going straight to the G League. Elite high school players that are going to be one and done. And I'm going to show you this article. So this is from The Undefeated. It says, elite high school hoops prospects should stop playing the NCAA game and consider the G League. There are benefits to skipping college for the NBA's developmental league, including the money from agents and legal endorsement deals. Now, I know you guys have read everything that's been in the news about, some players who had been named to have accepted money. Colin Sexton is one of them. Yep. Dennis Smith Jr. was one of them. I honestly think it's a good idea for these young guys. I think that they're going to the NCAA. They're going into college. They're playing for, they're going to school for 1 year. And all they have to do in order to be eligible is for the first semester, make their grades good enough to be eligible. And then the next semester, they no longer go to classes. So what good are they really getting from college? You know what I'm saying? They're not getting anything from college. I think it would be beneficial for some of these guys to go to the NBA G League straight out of high school. And it can be done right now. This is something that can be done right now. Now, of course, there's some prestige still because of tradition, of going to Duke or Kentucky or Kansas or Syracuse. There's some tradition there that, players want to be able to say that they played for these programs. But some of these players, especially players that have tough financial situations, you can go right to the G League and make $25,000 a year, legally get an endorsement from a shoe company. You know what I'm saying? Get endorsements from other companies and take care of your family if that's something that you really need to do. And you're probably playing against better competition in the G League because you're playing against college players. You're playing against former college players. Some of the, I'm not going to say best guys in college because they're in the G League, but, some guys that's, either pro players that's been that's trying to make it back into the NBA, or college players that's been out of college for a few years and they've really been working on their body and their game. So, I think it's a good idea. Right. On February 23rd, what did it say? At least 25 players have been linked to improper benefits, including Michigan State's Miles Bridges, Alabama's Colin Sexton, Duke's Wendell Carter, current NBA players Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Smith Jr., Bam Adebayo, Isaiah Whitehead, and Markelle Fultz. And this is all a problem. The reason that this is a problem is because the NCAA, they're making millions off of these guys. You all know about it. They're making millions off of these guys. And they say, well, we're giving these guys a free education. But if a player is one and done, you're not giving them anything. That player is only bringing money into your program. You're not giving that guy anything unless he chooses to stay. And they know that these guys aren't going to choose to stay. You know what I'm saying? They know that they're not going to give these guys. They know it. They're not going to, these guys aren't going to choose to stay. They make millions off of these guys and then send them on to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? I think that these guys would do well for themselves to go to the G League. Not every player, because every player is not going to make it to the G League. There's still going to be some guys that just need to go play college ball. But guys that are good enough go to the G League, you'll raise the stature of the G League by far. People will now watch the G League so that you can see some of these guys coming out of high school. That's going to be more money for the NBA. These guys, now, because the rules in the NBA say that you've got to be out of high school for a year, these guys are going to stay in the G League for a year. They can make some real money, to help their families. And then after that year, they can get drafted to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? They get to actually play the NBA game. I think the G League is, the G League plays 4 quarters like the NBA. You got NBA reps. You got coaches that are possibly going to be NBA coaches in the future. You're running NBA offenses. You're playing against grown men. I'm looking for the downside. I'm not sure what the downside is. Not sure what the downside is at all. Like it says here, elite stars should just become a professional out of high school by joining the G League. Yes, the highest salary of $25,000 isn't exactly hitting the lottery, and G League is not as glamorous as playing for Duke or Kentucky, but a player could accept money from an agent or endorsement money from a shoe company legally and put effort into getting ready for the NBA in an NBA-sanctioned league. If exciting, high-flying prep phenom Zion Williamson went to the G League, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, etc. wouldn't have any problem locking him in early by offering a financial package to supplement his income. High school players have had the option of entering the G League after graduation for years. Starkville, Mississippi prep star Latavius Williams graduated from high school and played in the NBA Developmental League, now the G League, for the Tulsa 66ers during the 2009-2010 season. The 6'8", 230-pound forward was ineligible to be promoted to play in the NBA per rules during his first season for Tulsa. But after one season removed from being in high school, Williams was eligible for the 2010 NBA draft. He was selected in the second round by the Miami Heat, which dealt his draft rights to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, that was him. Other guys, of course, will make it into the NBA, and be drafted high. If you have high-name high school stars going to the G League. And, this article goes on to talk about, I think Arizona State, I think it said, they have a college program for guys who still want to pursue a college career. They have an online program and those type of things. I think it's definitely an option that these players need to start looking at. Brandon Jennings, you remember, he went from high school to Italy, played in Italy. Then after a year, he got drafted into the NBA. Mudiay did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Emmanuel, you say that's what LeVar Ball wanted to do. These guys, but these guys been able to do it for years. It's just guys haven't been taking advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess, that's what LeVar Ball is doing with his sons now, I'm assuming. Right? His guys are over there in wherever they are now, I forgot. Lithuania, is it? And then when they're ready, they'll declare themselves eligible for the NBA draft. Most people don't know it, but any one of you can declare yourself eligible for the NBA draft. There's an application that you fill out, and you can declare yourself eligible for the NBA draft. It's kind of crazy that way. Yeah, I had some friends who knew they didn't even play ball, but they declared themselves eligible, filled out the application, and declared themselves eligible for the NBA draft, just being knuckleheads. Them guys, LeVar Ball's sons, they're over there, I guess it's Lithuania, wherever they are, I don't know. But when the time is right, they'll declare themselves, for the NBA draft. But you said, no, you're talking about making that league. Oh, so you're saying, you said he's talking about, making a developmental league? You said LeVar Ball was talking about making a true developmental league? or something like that for the NBA. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, but I mean, but that's what the G League has always allowed them to do. And I think if guys, from what I understand with this article, they said there's going to be a discussion when the next collective bargaining agreement comes about a discussion to waive the one and done rule. And if that happens, I think that you'll probably see some provisions about guys going to the G League, and maybe there'll be some programs wrapped around it. Who knows? I think I heard LeVar Ball talk about, you know, a true like minor league for the NBA. I mean, I guess the G League can be used that way if guys decide to do it. It's going to take one big guy, one big high school name to do it. Piff Gates, you say college develops better than the G League because the coaching is better. That could be. I don't know. I mean, and they might, but here's the one. But here's maybe the coaching is better. They're still probably coaching a college game though, and then there's restrictions on how many hours a coach can work with a kid in the summer and all those type of things. In the G League, there's no restrictions. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it affords you so many. You're going to use professional facilities. You're going to have access to so many different developmental coaches. You'll probably get, you know, they'll pay for, you know, a lot of guys that's in the G League. Their apartments are paid for. Maybe even their food. I mean, all kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? That they'll get the benefit of accessing different resources that they'll be able to access. You know, I think it could definitely be a positive for some players. You know what I'm saying? You know, so let's get to, we got another call on the line. Alex Martinez. Can you hear me, bro? Not sure if he can hear me. All right, not sure if he can hear me because I don't hear him. But I think it's definitely a good option for some of these high school guys, you know. And you know, I know if it was me, I would definitely look that route. You know what I mean? Alex, if you can hear me, I still got you on the line. If you can hear me, you know, say something. I can't hear you right now. And I'm checking my stuff and I think I'm all good. In Ernest, you say, wouldn't college be more pressure because of the media coverage? You're saying more pressure for them to win in college because of the media coverage? Yeah, they may have, I mean, maybe. But I think if these guys started going to the G League, you would see the same kind of media coverage for G League teams, you know? You know, Simeon, you said they're living in some crappy apartments in Westchester, rather go to a college and get those buns. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what they're living in. You know what I'm saying? I know it all depends. You know, I'm sure some teams have different ways that they put their guys up. You know, sometimes they have not parents, but families who agree to have those guys come into their, you know, home and stay there for the season and some things like that. But if you're looking at a guy that really doesn't have much money, let's put it like this. Coming out of high school, I didn't have a lot of money, right? My family was not well off. And if I had the chance to go to the G League, and bring some money and bring some money put some money in my mother's pocket and still be able to go to the NBA, you know, even if I was making $25,000 a year, but then I got some endorsements that gave me another, $50,000 to $100,000 and they took care of my family, I probably would have jumped on it. Because a lot of these guys, man, not everybody, but a lot of these guys, they're accepting that kind of money, or their families are accepting that kind of money because their families are hurting, and that's one of the big reasons. Of course, they love the game of basketball, but one of the big reasons that they play is to try to take care of their family. It's a tough, it's a line to toe, but like Ishmael, you're saying education is key. Definitely, I agree with you. Education is a big factor and it's a big key to your success, but education doesn't always come in college either. And if you got players that are already going to be one and done, then they're going to be getting education. Then their education is going to come outside of your traditional college program, right? If education, if you got a player that you know is going to be one and done, like I said, they're only going to college for a year and they're only taking a semester of classes. So BN, you're saying the same thing. Free college is the key. Free college is the key for the guys that are planning to stay 4 years. That's who it's the key for. Markelle Fultz, what did he get out of his free education? Right? What did any of these guys, Dennis Smith Jr., what did he get out of his free education? Donovan Mitchell stayed a couple of years. Any of these guys that go one and done, what are they getting out of their free education? Nothing. They only go to class for one semester. Ben Simmons, if you ever watched the Ben Simmons documentary, he went to class for one semester. And then he didn't go the next semester. He didn't go to class. So what did he really get out of his education? Not much. Right? Now, this article that I read to you, it goes on to talk about how, players would have to, coming out of high school, they'd have to fill out an application to enter the G League. And then certain people would determine whether or not this player has enough talent to make it in the G League. Right? And then they could be turned down. And then if they accept it, then they'll be entered into the draft. You know what I'm saying? But we have to look at the circumstances of the players we're talking about. I'm not talking about players, Wayne. I see what you're saying. Yeah, college is the way. But I'm not talking about players who are planning to go to college for 4 years. Right? I'm not talking about players that are planning to go to college for 4 years. I'm talking about players that are going to be one and done. College is doing nothing for them if they're going to be one and done. You know what I'm saying? Now, I see some, like Ben just said, you said, Simeon, some players get that first year and finish up their credits when playing in the NBA, like Garnett. You're right. They do. Well, Garnett came to the league out of high school. Garnett came from high school to the league. He didn't go to college. Okay. Now, you're right. But the G League has a program. They have a partnership where you can take online courses and they will pay some of those fees for you. I read it in this article. Let me see if I can find it. And they will help you with all of the paperwork. Okay? They'll help you with the paperwork and some of those other things. And trust me, if you get enough players going from high school to the G League, now I'm talking about your top players. I'm talking about players that you know are going to be one and done. They're going for 1 year, then they're going to the NBA. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your players that you know are going to need 3 or 4 years in college before they can make it to the NBA. That's who I'm talking about. Okay? I'll read it to you right here. The G League offers an online education through Arizona State University that is partially paid for. The G League aids with enrollment and taking the right courses. If a kid isn't interested in school, he does not have to take part. And there are millions of programs like that across the country. And while if you understand the way the college process works, you know what I'm saying? If these guys choose to go to the G League and they're making $25,000 a year or whatever it is, most of these guys or making less. One, if they get big endorsements, they're going to be able to pay for school. If they don't get big endorsements, they'll probably still go to school for free or very, very low cost. And as this article says, the G League will pay for part of it. And if you're in the NBA, those guys are taking online courses or other ways. Just because you're in the G League doesn't mean you can't go to school. It really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you can't go to school. And, you know, maybe those players are getting that first year paid for, and then they're going to the NBA. But then they've still got to pay. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of ways. There's so many resources and options for kids now. A player can go to the G League and still get their education. And if you're the G League, if you're smart and you're the G League, or you're the NBA, what you do is you have so many players that are now deciding to go to the G League, is you start to develop a program, right, that provides them with education and finances. And the NBA has that for their rookies, but you also do it for guys that go into the G League. That helps them take courses in finances, helps them take courses in you know different types of courses, you know, that's going to help them develop as a person and that they can use for college credit. I mean, there's programs like that. There's programs like this across in every other field of work, right? You have professional development where you can take courses that's going to help you grow in your career and you can use for college credit. You know, I think it's a good idea. You know, I think it's a good idea for players who are going to go one and done, and that's their plan. You know what I'm saying? Every player is not going to be able to do it. You know, every player, some players are going to need to go to college. Some players will be able to benefit from the G League. You know, I mean, I just don't think it's right that you force a player, you know, to go to college. You know what I'm saying? You're right, Emmanuel. The G League will kill the NCAA if that happens. NCAA will be done because then you're gonna have players. All your big time players will be going to the G League, and you're not gonna get the best players in NCAA, and you'll probably lose some of those scholarships because the same amount of money may not come in, but you'll still get some. You'll still get some money come in. You know, but see, Alex Martinez finally, we got it working. Alex, what's popping, bro?
Hey, how you doing, Simeon?
Doing pretty good, man. So
hey, I just wanted you to know, man, I'm talking.
Say that again.
I'm talking to you from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay. All right. How's it down there, man?
It's good, man. It's 85 degrees all day today. And allergy season's been picking up. Yeah. So it's been crazy.
Yeah. I wish it was 85 degrees here. But tell me, what do you think about high school players going to the G League?
You know what, man? I totally agree with your point. I wish more players would take that opportunity to go to the G League. It would open up a little bit more scholarship offers to those guys that are not high-level prospects in high school to get a scholarship and actually make something of their future rather than, you know, having to pay school out of their pocket or not go to college at all, because of that opportunity wasn't afforded to them because of someone that wanted to take a one and done position when that person could have gone to the G League.
Yep. That's a great point. That's really a great point. Yeah.
So, hey, I'm sorry if I'm in and out. I'm an off-duty police officer right now, man. I'm at a construction site. So, you might see some background noise and stuff like that, or hear some background noise. Just ignore that. No
problem, man. No problem. But I think that's really is a great point, guy. You will get a lot of players that are able to, high school players that otherwise maybe wouldn't have gotten a Division I scholarship, get a Division I scholarship, and will actually utilize those scholarships. Instead of, you got players going one and done because their total focus is to play basketball. They're only going to college because they're being forced to go to college. And you're throwing away the education. The money's being thrown away.
I think it'll also benefit each side. If you look at it, you'll have players that want to play and want to make a name for themselves in college, since they weren't afforded that opportunity to in high school. And you'll have more competition in the collegiate level. Also, those guys that are one and done, if you get a handful of those guys going to the G League, then we can really have a kind of like the what was the league I'm thinking of, the MLB, where they got the AAA ball. You got the guys that are actually good competition competing against each other because they're high level talent, and they're not wasting their time, wasting government money and our taxes,
Right, exactly.
But that's what I think of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea, and I think it would benefit everybody overall, for sure. Yeah. So how you feeling about the Knicks?
You know what, man? I'm a lifelong Knicks fan. I'm a third-generation Knicks fan. Since I've actively been watching the Knicks, man, we haven't won that many playoff series,
Right.
I started watching the Knicks in '97 officially, like where I started keeping up with the team. And that was towards the end. I got to watch the Cinderella story and stuff like that. But other than that, man, Jeremy Lin and Amari have been highlights of my Knicks fan base. But I'm a diehard fan, man. I don't root for any other team. I'm excited with what Steve Perry is doing right now. Mm-hmm. I don't like Jeff Hornacek. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't think New York is the place for him.
Right. I agree.
I would, everyone says Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson would do good, but Mark Jackson, I think right now is not coaching for a reason. I know he had a lot of fallout with the players in Golden State, and I think he developed those guys, but I don't think he's a player's coach.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure too much on that David Fizdale. I know there's a lot of hype on him, but I don't know what success he's really had. Because he kind of has that same issue, I don't think guys like KP and Frank would necessarily mold well under a Fizdale or a Mark Jackson, just because I don't think they're used to that kind of like aggression,
Mm-hmm. So who do you think would be a good coach going forward?
You know what, man? It's hard to say. Of course, the coaches that I like, are taken, Brad Stevens and Eric Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra has done a phenomenal job in Miami ever since Wade and everybody's left, and he's developed that team and kept them in constant competition. I like Jason Kidd, what he's doing with Giannis and developing Giannis.
Uh-huh.
But, right now I really don't have a coaching candidate. I can't answer that question. I just don't see anybody available out there that I really like.
Yeah. And I don't think that they're going to get rid of Hornacek this summer. I really don't.
I agree.
I don't think that he's the guy for the team, but I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think that they're going to give him one more year. That's my opinion. And then I think Scott Perry probably has some coaches in mind. He seems like someone who thinks forward, who's a forward thinker.
Not only that, patient. I like how patient he is. He's not listening to the New York media and letting them make the decisions for him.
Right, exactly. He stands on his own. He stands on his ground. I like that. And, he's not afraid to address any situation. He seems patient. So I trust him. So I think, when it does come time for that coaching change, I think he'll make the right pick. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he'll make the right pick. Yeah. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so I'm looking forward to see what Scott Perry is going to do, when that time comes.
Yeah, I am. What I'm worried about, though, is I want to know who he's going to draft. I don't know if he's going to draft somebody to fit Hornacek's system or what he envisions our future with KP like,
Right.
That kind of worries me,
Yeah, and I think it'll be telling by the end of the season if Hornacek is still here, because I don't think that he would do what the Knicks did last year with Phil Jackson, right? I don't have a problem with Ntilikina, but they let Phil Jackson draft and then fired him. I don't think he'll do the same thing with Hornacek. If Hornacek is still here, I think then we'll have an idea that he's going to draft to fit Hornacek's system, which I still think is going to be a long 3-man that they look to get. If Hornacek is gone, then, I'm sure there'll be a coaching search, and then hopefully they would bring in a coach before the draft so that coach can have some input on the type of player that they want in their system. But it's we'll see what happens going forward. There's a lot that this Steve Mills, Scott Perry, there's a lot that they've got to do this summer. You know what I'm saying? You got the draft, you got to deal with KP, you got to try to make a couple of moves to see if you can try to make the team a little bit better for when KP comes back. They got a lot to do this summer. For sure.
Do you think that they can get something for Courtney Lee?
I think they can get something for Courtney Lee. And with what I seen tonight, they gave Courtney Lee 11 minutes. Courtney Lee doesn't look motivated. I wish they would have traded him at the deadline.
I agree. I think we could have got at least a couple of second rounders for him. I mean, seeing that we got what we got for Hernan Gomez, we could have got some much needed cap space for the summer.
Yeah. I think we could have, I think it would have been good for Courtney Lee. It would have been good. I like Courtney Lee. I'd like for him to be here when we're playing better because he's the kind of veteran leadership you need. But tonight he looked unmotivated, and if that continues on for the rest of the season, that's just he's 32 years old. Another season down the drain for him. I would have looking at it now. I would have liked to seen them trade Courtney Lee, try to get something for him. $12 million. You might have been able to get a couple of players, second round draft pick, maybe even a late first. Who knows? And maybe they did try. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you taking my call.
Hey, I appreciate it. And thank you for your service to the community, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. And continue the show, man. I've listened to a handful of Knicks shows, and you're the absolute best, man. I love the way you break down the game and you talk about every aspect of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. All right. Have a safe night. Have a safe night, man.
You too, man. Take care.
Right, peace out. Take care. All right. Good show. I like this show. We had a good show tonight, I think, guys. But it's got to come to an end. Thank you all for the conversation. I think we had some good points made tonight, some good conversation tonight. The Knicks go on a West Coast trip. All right, so we got a couple of days off. I don't think we don't play again until Friday in LA. Yep, Friday in LA. We play the Clippers at 10:30. I'll be on after the game. This is my last call. I'm gonna take this call. It's gonna be my last call. All right, it's gonna be my last call. Who do I have on the line? Yusuf, what's going on, bro?
Oh, no,
you're my last call for the night, man. How you feeling?
I got lucky, man. I'm glad I'm on. I was just watching right now, Not so much to say. I'm from Canada, first and foremost.
Okay.
So big Knicks fan from all the way from Canada. I just want to talk about draft and who we should hopefully get. And I'm really big on McCall or Michael Bridges from Villanova. He's a wing player, 3-and-D. I think he's what we need. And I really don't know what's going on with the whole point guard situation. We got Burke, Mudiay, Ntilikina. I don't know what's really going to go on. Is Ntilikina going to slide to the 2? Are we going to, go forward with Mudiay at the point? I don't know what happens with Trey Burke. He's kind of – I feel like the game against Orlando, we really should have lost. I'm in full tank mode, I'll be honest with you. We need to get the best pick possible, maybe get, even into the top 5, maybe get a Michael Porter kind of player on our team because, I feel like he's a quintessential – wing player that can have a huge impact, hopefully on both sides of the ball. I mean, I'm not really big on him on defense, but I really think he can have a huge impact because we need that 20-point a night kind of guy to pair up with KP. And I think, what are we gonna do with Cantor? There's so many things, right? If this was 2K, I'd break this whole team down right now. You know what I mean? If we can get, I know Cantor earned his money. You know what I mean? He's probably going to opt out. I think he's on a player option. And, he's going to want 20-something. That's going to tie up some money. Like you just said earlier, we might want to keep Courtney Lee. But, for the veteran leadership, but it comes at a price, right? He's getting $11 million right now. So there's just so much going on. There's still Joakim, we don't know what we're going to do with him. Are we going to stretch him? Are we going to waive him? I really don't know what's going on with him. So
yeah, I don't think that. I think that I don't think they're going to stretch him. At least not now. If they stretched him, it would be in a year or two because if you stretch him,
they got to add that extra year.
Yeah, if you stretch him, then you break it. You break down what he's due to get now for 5 years, and so you're talking about another $7 to $8 million a year for 5 years. You got to pay, even though he's not on the team. So I don't think they'll stretch him. Maybe they'll waive him. If they were going to waive him or buy him out, maybe they'll buy him out. If they were going to buy him out, they need to. If they're going to buy him out and they're going to be fair about it, they need to buy him out within the next few days.
Yeah,
right, because then he can sign on with a team for the playoffs. If he's signed if he's waived or there's a buyout after March 1st, then he can't sign with a playoff team. So if you're gonna do things the right way, and you're gonna buy him out within the next few days so that he can make a playoff roster or something like that. I think with our point guard situation, we're simply trying out players right now. To see if there's somebody who can fit in the purpose, if there's someone who can fit in the future.
Oh, yeah, and I like what I saw from Mudiay tonight. He was actually, he hit some threes, which was really good. But, at the end of the day, it's the Warriors. We went into this game knowing, we're going to try our best. You know what I mean? Lance Thomas hit some open shots for once, which is nice. I didn't get a chance to watch the full game. I just kind of caught up on the highlights and stuff. And they got that's called the young guys like Hicks and Cornette to fill out the roster. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Something tells me it's going to come down to either just the way we're playing right now. We're going to end up with a top 10 pick, maybe 9 or 8, and go for a Kevin Knox, a Michael Bridges, or a Miles Bridges, something like that.
Yeah, we'll be somewhere around there.
I really think we need a Michael Porter Jr. We need a star caliber player who KP can defer to because he didn't have that all year. He didn't have what we wanted out of say Tim Hardaway Jr. Right? Because we gave him a lot of money too. We gave him $17 million to okay, you're a shot creator. You can hit the three. You can score, but he didn't. I mean, he was hurt. He was out for a little while. I get that, but even when they're on the court at the same time, it's I didn't really see that. And Latino wasn't getting his minutes, and Jack was doing the job, but
I don't think we're not going to get up as high as 5, in my opinion.
True, there's a lot of bad teams.
A lot of bad teams, and I just don't think we get there. But it doesn't mean that we can't find one of those guys at 9 or 10, though.
Oh, for sure. I'm really big on McCall or Michael Bridges. I don't know how to say his name, but the kid from Villanova. He's a junior. He redshirted the year that Villanova won, so he's got experience. He knows how to win. He's in a winning program with Jay Wright right now. Probably the top team, one of the top teams in college. And he plays defense, and he hits the three, and you know what I mean? He's someone I think that can maybe develop into like a maybe high end Paul George, maybe on the lower end he could be like not even sure, just your quintessential, maybe like a Trevor Ariza kind of guy, and that's like his floor, but his ceiling could be as high as Paul George. We don't know, but I'm really, again, fingers crossed that we get Michael Porter, but that's a pipe dream. Him coming back just tells me he's not going to want to go that low in the draft. He wants to go really high. And playing 2K and like simulating like seasons and stuff, like he'll go to like Chicago or something and just light it up, like rookie of the year, 20 points a game, 7 rebounds. And I'm holding my head and I'm like, damn. Because I always pick Michael Bridges. And I see other mock drafts say we should get Colin Sexton. I'm like, why do we need more point guards? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, what do we do with Moody and Ntilikina? I know Ntilikina could play too. Does Mudiay come off the bench? It's just so many things, right? So I feel like we got to build around this team the same way 2011 Mavs did with Dirk. Because it's kind of weird. It's a little different when you build around the power forward, I feel like. Because you got to be able to stretch the floor, but also be able to have that front court be really strong and play all types of defense. Because KP doesn't like to get bullied. He doesn't want to get banged up. He does not want to play the 5. We know that. And we need that strong rim protecting and rebounding big alongside with him, because one stat I feel like is underrated is offensive rebounds, and KB gets like 1 point something, just under 2, and the bulk of his rebounds is defensive. I want to see him get a little physical in the low post, but we'll see what comes of it. Right now I'm just reading all types of mock drafts because I'm on tankathon.com every day, man. I'm just like, we need to lose more games. Right. But, with Phoenix, Sacramento, Orlando, all in Chicago even, it's going to be hard. But you know what? With the lottery reform, we don't know. Yeah. All this tanking might not it might not be a great incentive for a lot of these teams.
I don't think that takes place until next year.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I don't think it takes place until the 2019 draft. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, hey, Yusuf, I'm about to head off.
Oh, for sure.
Man, thank you for the call.
No, most definitely, man. I listen to your stuff, and shout out to all you're doing, and I'm going to call in more often.
All right, for sure. Definitely. Sounds like you know a lot about college basketball, so we're going to need you.
Oh, for sure, man. I'm going to dial in, for sure.
All right, for sure. Appreciate it.
No problem. Take care, bro.
Take care, man. Peace. All right, for everybody that's interested, and that was my last call tonight, folks, because I gotta log off in a couple minutes, but it's possible, looking at this here, for those who are interested, Michael Porter Jr. may play tomorrow night versus Vanderbilt. All right. Michael Porter Jr. has become college basketball's wild card, but fans across the country finally might be getting a sustained look at the talented Missouri freshman. Porter entered the season as not only one of the top recruits in the class of 2017, but as one of the best wing prospects in a very long time. However, he hasn't played since the season opener because of a back injury. All right, so let's see. I don't know. Maybe he is going to play. Maybe he's not going to play. But let's keep an eye on it. They play Vanderbilt tomorrow night at 7 p.m. man, on ESPN2. So Michael Porter Jr. maybe will be back and be able to play. But again, the Knicks on a West Coast trip, not back on until Friday. I'll be on right after the game. It'll be a late one, so hopefully we'll have some people up with me. All right, but folks, I'm out. I will see y'all Friday. Hopefully I'll be able to I got some videos that I've been working on that I want to get up. If I can get them up, I'll get them up. I just got to finish them. But I'm out. Be peaceful. Let's continue this youth movement. Have a good night, folks. If you like this video, please subscribe below. Ring the bell so you can get a notification anytime that I go live. Check out these videos over here so you can stay updated on the New York Knicks. Peace.